go back and listen to like Reliant K.
Yes.
We both love Reliant K.
Reliant K. It's I have Forget Not Slow Down on vinyl.
Yes.
And it's
I also
so
have Forget
crisp.
Not Slow Down on vinyl.
Is it the brown one?
Jeremy this morning that I
Yeah.
was taking out with, he also has Forget Not Slow Down on vinyl.
It's
What's up, guys? My name is Rhett. This is my friend Zach. We're here today to talk about music, and specifically about how music affects us in our day-to-day life. So I have a few thoughts on this, but just initially, I guess my question is, what kind of music do you listen to on a daily basis?
daily basis. I mean, it really ranges.
Okay.
It's easier to tell you what I don't listen to.
Right.
So, like I'm not really.
What do you not listen to?
I don't listen to like hardcore like metal.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Me too.
I avoid most music where I can't understand the lyrics.
Yeah.
Or what they're really trying to say. But
Yeah.
I would say that's my stay away. But yeah. How about you? What's your go-to for a day to day?
I feel like I really revolve. Like I listen to a lot of the same stuff, and as soon as I've like exhausted that, I go back and dig up some more of stuff I've already listened to. I slowly incorporate like some new music in there. But then that just becomes part of like when I find something I like love, I like listen to it until I've completely exhausted it, and then it just becomes part of like the thing that like revolves again.
I mean, I have a hard time getting into newer music, or like not just new music, but like finding and moving out of what I have been listening to.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah, 'cause I feel like I just love like fully digesting music to where I know every lyric and I know like every part and every like full album.
Yeah.
And so like that's how I like to experience music. So I feel like things I go back to so much are like I was just telling you, like I listen to like Toby Mac or like Newsboys, like old school Newsboys, like Peter Furler, not Michael Tate Newsboys. I go back and listen to like Reliant K.
Yes.
We both love Reliant K.
Reliant K. It's I have Forget Not Slow Down on vinyl.
Yes.
And it's
I also
so
have Forget
crisp.
Not Slow Down on vinyl.
Is it the brown one?
Jeremy this morning that I was taking out with, he also has Forget Not Slow Down on vinyl.
It's their best. They're like like that album like is borderline like no longer punk and a little bit more like pop music because they originate from punk.
Yeah.
And the influence of punk in that time that they came out of in the 90s, like it was hardcore anti the world, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love how, almost 10, 12 years when they came out, after they had came out and then came out with Forget Not Slow Down, I love that there's still punk influence within that album and that they express that throughout the whole. I'm sorry. That album is so near and dear to my heart. It's just too good.
I love that album. I know probably every lyric to that whole album. I could probably start from the first song and just sing through the whole album.
All I have to start off is those, a few notes.
Yeah. Oh man!
So
if
good.
you haven't listened to Forget Not Slow Down, do that right now. Just go on a long drive and listen to Forget Not Slow Down. It's so good. Yeah, I feel like but I just do that. Like I go back and like I rotate. But honestly, like in the last like year, 2 years, the music I listen to also has just shifted. Like the as far as like explicitness of music. Like I feel like this is true for like movies and stuff like that. I just feel like I can't handle the same. I feel like I've just become so much more sensitive to a lot of like things about music.
Yeah, I understand that. I honestly I don't, but. It's there's because you got to think about the artwork, and it's sometimes when you try to differentiate music and just lyrics from the music, because when people say, oh, I listen to the music, a lot of times they talk about including lyrics. My mindset, I'm like actually listening to like the beat of every song, the note of every song, and that's my focus. But like if you have a lyricist like Kendrick Lamar, I'm listening to the lyrics, like that. His so good.
is a very good lyricist.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
But
I feel like, and that's the thing to me, like, I think that's one of the more attractive things about music to me. I think I can kind of isolate and go more towards the instruments, but I feel like it's hard for me to like zone out of the words because I feel like no matter what, like if I'm first time listening to a song, I'm generally always like dialed into the words. And like if I'm like, oh, if I feel a little off about something that somebody's saying, I like go back and listen to that part because I'm just like, and like I'll stop listening to a song halfway through because I'm just like, no, I don't agree with this.
I can't remember lyrics very well. So when I sing, if you turn off the music, if you were to turn off the music while we're listening to it, I would just be mumbling the whole time. Yeah. Or there's a couple parts where I could throw in one word because like, oh, I remember that one, but I just can't hold lyrics. Yeah. So a lot of times I just don't focus on lyrics and I just kind of, there's a popular song out right now and the bass in that song, like it's just super groovy and super entertaining. It's the Levitating song by Dua Lipa, I want to say.
Okay.
It is phenomenal. The bass line of that is sick.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But, you know, I don't know what the actual lyrics are, but I'm sure they're not upholding and righteous. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that makes sense.
But
do you feel like even the like tone of music like affects your mood or anything at all?
I mean,
how do you feel like that affects you?
Affects me?
Or give me like 2 examples of like how a certain
if I put on like
genre affects you.
I would say the beat more than anything.
Okay.
Let's talk about like RPMs and BPMs or whatever.
She's talking about like working out.
Right. So if I have this kind of music. Anything above 120 BPMs, I'm that's pretty getting pretty fast. Yeah. More jumpy.
Yeah.
My heart rate's probably gonna end up matching that. Things like that. I mean, there's actual science behind that. And how music really influences the body. And like cool. I had guys that I would train with when I was a heavy runner all the time. Yeah. We wouldn't run with music on because music would influence your energy levels throughout your run. Oh. And you would have to be able to develop like a mindset of, I can do this run. I can work hard at this without the music.
Right.
But there'd be times where if we put music on, we just had more energy, it just influenced us in a way that boosted our morale almost, you know? If you're talking about morale and music, like, I mean, we're kind of getting off what you were talking about, asking the question, but a little history note that, in war times, they play music across each other. Like, in Vietnam, they play music from their speakers. And to overshadow all the Viet Cong and, they would hear it and it was just mental warfare. Yeah. Muslims, that's why they play their music so loud in the mornings during all their prayers. It's a mental thing, Right. Makes people either A, question it or B, kind of focus in on it or scare people. Yeah. So.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I feel like definitely in the morning, like I play, like hymns or like something pretty like slow and like thoughtful. And I feel like that does get me like kind of in a certain space.
All right, hold up. Do you like this podcast? And have you considered starting a podcast of your own but not known where to start? At Luciv Studios, we love helping people start podcasts, whether that's walking you through step-by-step, empowering you to do the podcast on your own, or whether it's doing all the heavy lifting for you. If you're ready to start your podcast, we'd love to talk to you. Our number and email are right there in the description, or you can check us out at lusivstudios.com.
I feel like something I've noticed with music that like it's honestly just like changed how I choose to listen to music, because like I think even like for a long time I stopped like listening to, or over a long time I slowly stopped listening to more and more like secular music, right? But then I even realized like I listened to like so much like Christian hip hop, like I like Lecrae and like a big variety of like Christian hip hop, right? But
you just named the number one artist.
I know, I just named the one guy. I'm like trying to think of, what other artists, what other like hip hop artists?
You like KB, Tripoli.
Tripoli. I'm thinking of like.
I mean, that's all the 116.
I'm thinking of like indie tribe guys. Like, why can't I think of a single? No Big Deal.
Okay.
John Keith. Yeah. Like those guys, but I just feel like I've noticed like a lot of times I'm listening to this music and like a lot of this like Christian hip hop even like, yeah, it's clean, but it's just as arrogant as like a lot of like secular hip hop. And so I'll notice after I listen to like even some of like this like clean music, I'm just like, I feel like arrogant and kind of like icky in like my heart.
Oh.
And like, I just feel like I'm feeling like more prideful and more proud of myself. And like this guy's less and that guy's less. And just, I feel like a lot of that like comes off in like it just rubs off into like my mood and like even just like my thoughts. And I'm just you
need to listen to more Andy Mineo then. I feel like Andy Mineo has a lot of, I mean, his earlier stuff, it's a lot more humble feeling.
Really? Because I feel like to combat that, I listen to like Tripley because like Tripley's music, I just feel like is so like he's literally not talking about other people at all. He's just talking about God and himself, and I just feel like it's like super humble.
I agree with that then. Yeah, I think that's a better approach.
Yeah. So I still listen to a lot of Christian hip hop, but I just feel like I'll recognize it like maybe in the middle of the day when I'm just like, nah, I'm already like struggling like with sin in my heart, and I'm like already kind of like, man, I need to draw near to God. And so like at that point, I'm just like, man, I can't listen to like if I listen to like some hip hop or just turn on some hip hop mindlessly right now, it's gonna affect me in a negative way.
I will 100% agree that there's times when I've been listening to secular music and my whole mindset for the day is just totally different. My language is different. My body language is different. I mean, there's times where I can think of where just music, there's the music in general, like I have to turn off what I was listening to just to put on something that can re-affect the way I was thinking and the way it re-affect, change the mood essentially, and I think that's one thing that music just has such a hold on us, in a really good or really bad way. And it not only does it really influence your day to day, like what we're trying to talk about, but it just every mindset, it's a very much part of the world. I'm think about like the Beatles and their album Abbey Road. That was such an influential change in direction for music, and it changed the world. And a lot of times it it's a very secular but it's it's not uplifting for God. But you can see how like from music then on, just the shape of music. So not only the influence on people and what they decide to do, but the influence on the way music has now, generations later, are now affecting people too.
Yeah.
So I think it's so interesting how like almost like a weapon, such a useful tool for the mindsets of people, and to really kind of. I mean, why do all the youth pastors use piano in the background after every sermon? So.
Yeah. See, and then like you're saying, like the weapon, I feel like it is a weapon like that can be used for bad, but
or
in that
good.
same sense it can be used for
good.
How do you think we can use music like for like a good and like even like specifically in our own life, not even just to affect other people, but how do you think we could like really?
I mean, it's simple enough, but just music that reminds you. I mean, as us both being Christians, and believing God, and music that uplifts God before ourselves.
Right.
And like you were talking about, where the hip hop music doesn't feel like it's uplifting God, and it makes you feel like you're putting yourself before God. Like, I mean, that's every song I could think of on the radio right now.
Right.
There's not one song where it's not, putting somebody else above themselves.
Right.
So
yeah, I feel like that makes me think too about like even like the Psalms. And like I'm like the Psalms are like a really good example of like somebody using poetry, and a lot of those are probably like songs, and so like using music to like glorify God and like bring God glory as opposed to like ourselves glory.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think that it's a tool that can be used for great good. So I feel like that's a pretty good place to wrap up. So if you enjoyed this, thanks for listening. If you have any video production questions or you need like graphic design, web design work, lusivstudios.com, or give us a call, give us an email. Thanks for coming by. It was a good conversation, Zach.
I guess so.
See you guys later.